Hello and welcome to Aduro's 6 Aspects of Life series. Aduro has been around for now almost 15 years, focused on all facets of an individual's well-being and their ability to move from a state of struggling to a state of flourishing. We are so uniquely positioned to not only impact you as an individual, but also impact an organization and their ability to drive cultures that both thrive, flourish, and sustain through these challenging times and for the road ahead. The series will focus on 6 themes that range from mental health, mindset, purpose, lifestyle, relationships, growth, and prosperity. And by focusing on these 6 interrelated aspects, we're going to provide you as an employer with the groundwork that you'll need to drive the types of outcomes that are most important to your people, but also to put you as an individual in a place where you understand what is possible and how you can institute and drive change, and what that means for you both now and long term. We're so excited that you're going to be with us, and we wish you all the best as you continue on your journey, whether you're an organization navigating these waters or an individual just starting out today. We know that you can do it. We wish you all the best with this session ahead. Thanks so much.
Great to meet you all today. I'm excited for our time together. My name is Josh Templeton, head of growth at Aduro. I'm joined by Carl Miller of Aduro and our human performance coaching team, along with Adam Costarella of Colibri Capital, part of Ameriprise Financial. And just excited as we kick off our 6 Aspects of Life webinar series. What we're focused on today is the opportunity for you as an organization to think through the suite of services that you're providing your employees, along with you as an individual, and areas where you can focus and you can create an action plan or an area of attack that is going to help you go from potentially a state of struggling to a state of flourishing. So excited to kick this off. And before we jump in, I'd love to introduce both Adam and Carl. And I thought we could start off with, once you introduce everyone to yourselves, I'd love to get perspective on what would be the one thing that you want an individual, whether it's an organization or an individual member, to take away from this session today. So Adam, I'd love to start off with you.
Well, yeah, thank you, Josh. First off, I want to say thank you for having me. My name is Adam Costarella. I'm managing partner of Colibri Capital. One stat that I heard a little while back that really caught my attention was that 46% of employees feel distracted by their finances at work. So first off, if you are one of these employees that feels distracted, you are not alone. But then as the employer, these employees on average think about financial stressors about 3 hours per week. So if your company has just over 1,000 employees, that's roughly 78,000 hours of lost productivity per year. So big numbers there that really caught my attention. So that's something that I'd make sure everybody knows about.
Very, very big stats there. My name is Carl Miller. I've been a coach at Aduro for 5 years and I'm a certified master financial coach. What I'd hope that you would walk away with today is knowing that this topic, finance, money and prosperity, doesn't have to evoke negative feelings of stress and overwhelm. If that's you, know that it's okay. But there's hope. We know education is an important part of the process, but equally as important is being able to take a look at and reevaluate our thinking, habits, and behaviors around money. And the beautiful thing about that is once we do that, once we're aware of what we're currently doing, and if we want to change those habits, behaviors, or our mindset with money, we can do that.
I love it. And I think both of you touch on something I think is really important, right? Which is sometimes when we start talking about financials, and especially when we talk about individuals and their financials, it's personal, it's intimate, it's something that we need to survive and to thrive. And it certainly is a core part of everything that we do. And so as soon as you get into those types of categories and subjects, there's a natural tendency to, whether it's, to your point, Carl, have a little bit of fear. Adam, whether it's, that potential for lost productivity and just you're misaligned, or maybe you're unfocused. But it's interesting. I was reading a really great piece in the New York Times just recently around employees and the impact that COVID-19 has had on individuals. And not only that, but it also started to get into some of the specifics around employers and their responsibility as employees are navigating a whole new world. Some have seen reduction in their pay, some have seen realignment of their job. In some instances, individuals have had to actually change roles. And so the statistic really jumped into that 62% of employers feel extremely responsible for employees' financial wellness. But the challenge is that there's so many different resources that are available to individuals. The million-dollar question is, where do you even start? Where do you even begin? And so what I'd love to maybe start off our time together today is to getting some perspective on that first step. And Adam, maybe I could start off with you is, when you look at organizations and all of the responsibility they have to their employees and the fact that they're trying to offer the best resources, where would you suggest someone start?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the top things that we've seen in sort of the benefits industry in 2020, and one of the most requested benefits is something that sort of we refer to as holistic financial wellness programs. And so while there's no single definition for holistic financial wellness, sort of we see it as a relief from financial stress, right? It's essentially an understanding of one's financial situation and handling your situation in a way that you're prepared for financial changes, like a reorganization, like a layoff, like a cut in salary, sort of things that have COVID have presented. And so that's sort of how we see holistic financial wellness.
Question, maybe for individuals that aren't familiar with that term, could you do me a favor and define it for the audience, just so they have context when you say a holistic financial wellness?
Yeah, so when I say holistic financial wellness, especially when we're looking at employees of an organization, I really mean we're looking at all aspects of your financial life, right? We're looking at your debt, your income, how much insurance you may be carrying, your risk management. So we're really taking a deeper look beyond just the 401k. To make sure that you are financially healthy, right? Because we know how important financial health is in the grand scheme of things. So it's looking at more than just sort of what's on the surface of your finances.
And I appreciate there's so many layers to your point, right? There's so many layers to what actually goes into that definition of financial well-being. What it also sparks in my mind as you were talking is how well-being, financial well-being actually impacts someone. And, I was thinking about this, right, which is, when you think about all that's gone on, even over the past few years, right, we're seeing the rise of debt across the country. We're seeing a rise in credit use, and you're seeing so many, you're seeing what some might consider not positive trends. I'd love to get maybe some perspective on, how this is actually impacting an individual. And Carl, I know you spend so much of your time talking to employees and their members. When you think about like that place to start at an individual level, where would you give someone guidance to start, digging in?
Yeah, good question. Really, you just get curious and you provide a judgment-free space for people, and you don't hop to strategy too quickly. A lot of these people are coming to calls currently stressed. They have a lot going on in their life at the moment, and they just need a place to just get everything that's going on in their head out there and start to make some sense of things, get organized, and sometimes just coming up with a plan, not even taking any sort of external action, but coming up with a plan and getting organized. It feels like you're taking back that control in life. But providing a space where people can sit and pause and start to map out what they want to do next can be helpful. And then really, again, going back to that curiosity piece of, where is all of this coming from? And a lot of times the stress can be traced back to finances, right? Maybe we grew up in a rough, poor socioeconomic environment, or just our parents never modeled and talked about finances at the dinner table. And so just a little bit of judgment-free space where we're less harsh on ourselves, kind of comparing ourselves to others, but a space where people can show up and start to get curious. We can find that, even weight loss, not a lot of people are going to be focused on losing weight if one of their basic needs of, keeping a roof over their head is in question here. So, yeah.
The comment you made about talking about it at the dinner table, I'll say for myself, it certainly jumps out at me. And it oftentimes, I think there's a stigma associated with it. Like, it's almost like you don't talk about it, right? Like, well, these are, we go back to what we just, what we started off our session with, right? It's personal, it's private, it's unique to you. And so I even think back, I remember when I was going to college, my first year as a freshman, what's the first thing I'm greeted with? I'm greeted with a row of financial institutions that are very eager to give me a credit card. And if you don't, to your point, Carl, if you haven't had those conversations and you didn't know where to start, you literally are potentially starting your individual journey without any great information. And so now you fast forward to where we are today, and people are navigating waters that they've never seen before, carrying debt that they've never carried before. And so what that really jumps out at me is that there's this misconception that exists, especially with employers, that by just providing these resources, that they're quote unquote checking the box. That just by providing a 401k and saying, we're going to match your 401k, that by automatically doing that, someone's going to know what to do with that. Or providing other financial resources that someone will know exactly what to do with it. And so what comes out to me in that moment is that there's something that's keeping people from wanting to tackle this issue. There's something that's holding people back. And Carl, I'd love to get some perspective. What do you see are some of those hurdles, and what are some ways that individuals might be able to put together a different approach that they could start to see success?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it all starts with awareness. Having conversations like we're having now, bringing it to the forefront, because a lot of people, look like they have things figured out, and given the stats, a lot of people don't. And so to know that it's okay and it's encouraged to lean in and have these uncomfortable conversations, ask questions and connect with your HR team. They most likely got into that part of business because they care about people and want to help you. And then take advantage of coaching and your well-being platform. That can be that springboard for you to just start to get introspective, create the capacity to want to maybe create some changes and desire and motivation to take some action for yourself.
It's I like the comment you made, right, which is it's awareness, right? It's actually being aware that a change needs to happen. And you're right. Like I can think of both family, friends, and people that I've known for years that sometimes the first step is the hardest step. And that's no different than I appreciated the comment you made earlier about maybe someone that's trying to go through a journey of weight loss, but they're worried about keeping a roof over their head. And I get it. That totally makes sense. So what my mind goes to then is like, okay, so we've talked about what financial well-being is. Then we moved into, right, some concepts around, right, how does it actually impact the individual? And it can have both positive impacts and very adverse impacts: stress, anxiety, depression. And then I kind of go back to, okay, so if I'm an employer and I'm thinking about, all right, this makes sense. We've got a wide depth and breadth of financial services and solutions. Okay, well, why would this matter to an employer, right? Like my mind goes to, if we're providing these types of resources, why would they now all of a sudden want to take a step back and say, okay, what do I need to be doing? You mentioned, Adam, at the beginning, right? This idea of a holistic approach. I'd love to get, Adam, maybe some perspective on, what does a financial program actually do for an organization? What are the types of outcomes that someone should actually be expecting versus the traditional check the box we offer it?
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good question, one that a lot of people are asking because these holistic wellness programs are relatively new. I think that one key point that I started off with is sort of what I would focus on is if you're an employer and your employees are stressed about finances, there's no doubt that there's lost productivity there, right? They're spending their couple hours a day, fretting about credit card debt or am I properly planning for retirement when they could or should be working on their jobs. And so I think productivity is a big thing. I think overall, having a culture of holistic support for your employees goes a long way. An employee of an employer that truly cares about not only your work productivity but how you're doing holistically. I think that really says a lot. These type of programs can also really drive employee engagement in your existing benefits like 401k plans, group insurance programs, which ultimately can create a lot of loyalty to the company. And then, as we see these types of programs pop up and as employees are asking more of their employers every day, these financial wellness programs can be a differentiator when you're either hiring or retaining employees, right? Employees are looking for more than just the typical 401k and some of the other basic benefits. They want to know that their employer truly cares about them personally and financially. And so that's where we see these things coming into play.
One of the key takeaways I just grabbed out of that, right, was it's not only understanding the benefits, but you also really you talked a moment there about making sure that there's a level of, and I'll use my words, a communication of those benefits and education of those benefits that actually ties really nicely to what you were saying, right? Which is there needs to be an awareness, right? There needs to be this place where I know I have these resources available, and then I'm conjunctioning that with the tools I need to actually have that activation moment, that ignite moment that, hey, I can do something about this. And it's not climbing Mount Everest, right? It's actually very doable. One of the things I was thinking about as we wrap our time together is I was really thinking about what organizations have been doing, especially since the pandemic has set in. I would say if there's one thing that I've heard sans mental health and people's just where they are, which by the way, let's be really candid, right? Mental health is very much directly tied to someone's financial state. And if that financial state is in question, if there's uncertainty there, I can certainly guarantee you that they're going to be stressed. They're going to be anxious. They're going to be worried. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I was thinking as we close out our time together is, when you think about what you've been doing at Colibri and over the past year around just the incentives or initiatives that organizations have brought forward, Adam, I'd love to get maybe just a little bit of perspective. What's been really, I'd say, really widely used, or maybe even people excited to use as people are trying to navigate these waters from a solutions perspective?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that we generally see as the biggest result from a holistic wellness program is the 401k plan that a company may currently offer, right? People hear the term 401k, they may know what it is vaguely, but really spending the time to know how it affects not only you today, but your retirement down the road. That's sort of the first thing that we see people perk up about. One of the most sort of valuable experiences we have as advisors is when an employee figures out that, hey, I can retire and I don't have to job hop and I don't have to go out and earn $500,000, as I can retire, where I'm at. And as long as I make prudent financial decisions and, keep my eye on the ball, I can retire with the benefits that I have. And so it's always nice to see that sort of light bulb go off when we're going through these holistic reviews.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say that last piece about this idea of retiring and retiring where you don't have to have what might feel like a astronomical sum of money. And
Mhm.
you know, it's interesting too, right? As you think about what you just mentioned, right, which is 401k, right, which is really about awareness and having a plan. But the other thing too, and I'd love your thoughts before we wrap, Carl, is when you think about that, the coaching aspect of it, because I also recognize, like, sometimes even with 401ks, right, there's a little bit of there's just a lack of understanding, or even when you start getting into some of the nuances of just running a proper budget. What would be a call to action that you would have for anybody that's like, you know what, I get it, we've got a 401k. What would be something that maybe you could help an individual today that might just be like, I don't know where to start with this? And I'd love to get your thoughts before we wrap our time together.
Um, I first off, just hearing kind of the conversation, how it's wrapping up, the sense of urgency came up for me. And don't wait. Just go out there and ask questions, right? A lot of financial professionals, advisors, planners have complimentary consultations and tools to where, like, retirement calculators, if your employer plan doesn't offer one. So just getting your hands in something, or just coming up with a budget, might give you that, to be that first step for you, and give you the data you need to make any changes. And so don't wait. You know, we all don't bite. We all want to help you. And you know, whether it's coaching or getting that specific information that a licensed professional, like a certified financial planner, has, make the appointment. You won't regret it.
Well, I think what a great way to kind of wrap. I love the call to action, which is so simple, right? Don't wait. You know, there's no better time than the present. So, you know, I'll say is this: first and foremost, I'd be remiss if I didn't just say a warm thank you to both you, Carl and Adam, for taking time to meet with us. I think that, right, there's so much more we could dig into. This could be its own
Yeah.
series. You know, my recommendation, right, is for those individuals that have listened in today is, you know, there's some real opportunity when you think about some of the words that Adam shared at the beginning in terms of just looking at your program. Is it holistic? Is it cascading across your entire organization? Is it equitable? And then when you think about some of the ideas that Carl shared today, right, which was, you know, don't wait, right? Have that moment, you know, educate, right? Are you providing the type of resources to your employees that are educating them with what's possible? And if you're not, you know, recognize that there are organizations like Calibri out there and like Aduro that are uniquely positioned to help your employees navigate this and to put them in a place where they are truly you know, in a place of financial prosperity and success. So thank you both again for your time. I'm so grateful for it. And we look forward to seeing you all in our next series. So wishing you well.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.